Welcome to the next episode of the HR Mavericks podcast. I'm Garrett Justice, and today I'm joined by Violet Mendez, who's an HR consultant. Violet, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. It's great to finally have you on the show. I know you and I connected maybe last year. Is that right?
That is right.
Well, we're so happy that we finally were able to work it out and get you on the show today. Excited to jump into our topic today because I think it's an important one and one that's going to resonate with a lot of our listeners. But before we do that, tell our listeners a little bit more about you and your career background.
Absolutely. I have been in HR, I want to say about 17 years. And I was contacted through LinkedIn through an agency, a staffing agency, and said, I know you're bilingual. I'm looking for a temporary HR recruiter. Are you able to come on in? And I was in the career services department, literally with technical schools. So I was finding the employers for our students once they graduated.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been there a couple of years and I said, this is a temp position, but I'm going to risk it. It's HR. It's something I've always wanted to do. So I did.
Mm-hmm.
And 2 days in, the boss says, well, how do you feel about us, you interviewing actually the position that you're going to fill, and then you're going to be gone? And I said, well, after a week of working with me, I said, I'm going to be your person. And he just left. 2 weeks later, he interviewed me. He kept me on and started from a corporate bilingual recruiter to, benefits. And I've done generalist. I've done coordinator, just about everything, payroll as well.
Mm-hmm.
So basically just a lot of experience with different fields in real estate and manufacturing, construction.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, it's so great to have you on the show. I know that, you've worn that solo HR person hat for many years. You know the challenges that many of those small businesses face when it comes to that. We were talking about a couple of them before we jumped on here today that I think will just really resonate with our audience. But, before we jump into our topic today, one question that I like to ask a lot of our guests who come on the show is, what drew you to HR? And then part two of that is, what's kept you in that career or in that space for so long?
Well, it definitely was my father. He worked for a school district, did not know the language, lived here for many years, but never spoke English. So he missed a lot of the benefit enrollment section. He missed a lot of the events. He missed a lot of opportunities for 401k because he did not know the language. And there was not a bilingual HR rep that would involve herself with her employees that way.
Wow.
So what I do now is I make sure that I am going out to my employees and I walk my office. I walk outside, I say good morning. I'm out in the field. I'm literally outside on the field 4, 5, 6 a.m. because that's when they get there before they go to their job sites. Mm-hmm. And I involve myself and make sure, tell them about 401k, tell them how important the retirement plan is. Tell them how important it is for them to enroll in benefits for their children. Yeah. So it's the passion of helping other people, as well as also recruiting great candidates from a bank, from a grocery store, wherever. I'm a recruiting billboard. Mm-hmm. I'm always, if I see somebody good, I'm going to pull them, right? So giving somebody an opportunity for a career, or getting them off from working 7 days a week or working evenings, if I can do that for them, absolutely. And I've been very successful getting people that, placing them in great jobs that are now careers for them.
I love that. And you can definitely see how, experience like that, a personal experience like that growing up with your father can influence, that drive that, right, you clearly have to help other people, maybe not make the same mistakes and know how HR can help them, the benefits they have. So that's awesome. Very, very cool. Well, let's transition into our topic a little bit. I know when we talked about, what do we talk about today? You mentioned this idea of employee engagement, how to motivate and get the most and best out of your employees. I think this is a topic that, a lot of companies think about. It's kind of a buzzword these days in HR, employee engagement, right? Because so many people talk about it, think about it. And so tell me first, before we jump into this, why is it that you wanted to talk about this particular topic today?
Well, one, because right now, after post-COVID, it's hard to find candidates and it's hard to keep candidates.
Hmm.
And in order for us to keep candidates and or to want them to stay with us or come to work with us, we have to make a commitment as an employer of engaging them in, involving them in our not just holidays and not just birthday, monthly birthdays celebrations, but also in their ideas. Also, and if we're going to change the policy, let's get together with the employees and ask them, hey, we're thinking about changing A, B, and C. What do you think? What's your feedback? Because they're going to have
Hmm.
things that we're not thinking about.
Yeah.
How is it going to benefit or how is it going to hurt them? But when you
Yeah.
include them and then you make them feel part of, then they won't leave you.
Yeah, that makes total sense. And I think that it's a challenge that many businesses are facing today, especially dealing with the effects of COVID. And so, really, just to get us started, the first question I have for you on this is how do you motivate employees and why is it important to do so?
Basically, motivating them one is recognizing them, knowing them by name, knowing them who they are. Go out there and involve yourself with what they're doing and not and have small conversations, not just about your work or your report or have you turned it in, but how's your day going? How's your weekend? Start learning about their family, their kids, their dog, what they just moved. You saw them got boxes from the warehouse. Hey, you just moved. How's the neighborhood? If you get
Hmm.
to know your employees and you go out one day and you see that they're, for whatever reason, they're not the same hello, they may have not responded, then there's something wrong. Let's figure out what it is. If they see that you care and that you are actually seeing who they are and helping them out, then they're going to appreciate that and they're going to want to come work for us or plus you're also earning their trust.
Yeah, totally. People want to work and work hard for people that they know and trust intimately, right? And so the
Absolutely.
more that you can build that personal connection with your people is, the further it'll go in helping them be motivated and also helping identify when, things might be a little bit off. There might be something going on and being understanding there and helping them work through those life challenges, right?
And when you do that, what do you get? You get a more engaged, happy employee that's going to come to work, that's going to stay the extra hour if you need them. That if they see that you're struggling with something, they're going to ask, "How can I help? What can I do?"
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So, in addition to just the getting to know people, what other things have you done specifically to make sure that employees know that you care?
1K contributions. I sit down. I'm not a financial planner. I do not go over any of of that percentage or what plans they're going to choose. But I am going to sit down and tell them the importance of the long term and explain to them, just like I do the benefits. I explain you could sit on an open enrollment a whole hour and you're going to get a bunch of information. You have no idea what an HMO plan is. You don't know what a PPO plan is. You don't know how to go out of network. What happens if you go out of network? What happens if you go to urgent care instead of an
Mhm.
emergency room? So giving them that information and that knowledge so they can make better life decisions for them, that's what matters to
Yeah, I love that. And I think it ties back to the story that you shared of the experience with your father at the very beginning, right? When you do sincerely care about them, then of course you're going to want to share that knowledge with them that's just going to help them in their life outside of work, right?
me.
And by doing that, like you mentioned, you're building that trust, that loyalty, because they know that they can come to you and as a result, they're going to work harder and stick around longer, hopefully, right?
And they do. And I fill out forms, Garrett, for them if they don't they have mail at home. They bring it to me, even if it's not from our company. Can you help me? Read this. Do you understand? And just walking them through it, and that's how they really know that I really care. And I've been told all the time, you're not just like any HR person. You're different. I said because I care and like I said, earning their trust for me is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that what's really unique about this too is it's applicable for the industries that you've worked a lot in, right? Where you have a lot of construction workers, who may have worked with, or, it might be different in other industries, but the point is tailoring it to the needs of your workforce, right? Like I think exactly what you're doing is a perfect example of how you tailor it to their needs, where another HR person in a different industry might do something completely different, right?
Right. Absolutely. And it is. And when they see that you are actually molding it to what their needs are, regardless of what the industry, it's about the person.
Yeah.
It's about caring and having that kindness for that individual that's going to make the difference.
Yeah. That kind of leads me to my next question that I have for you then is, in your experience, what have you seen as the most important thing that employees really want from their jobs?
Appreciation.
Hmm.
I have done so many stay on interviews. I've done so many exit interviews. I've had lots of conversations, and all they want, it's not the money. It's not as much the benefits. It's appreciation. A pat on the back. You've done a great job. Feedback on their work. Recognize whether it's through LinkedIn, whether through your social media page, whether it's through a billboard in front of the lobby, whatever it is, it's just acknowledging, and again, that you know that they're there.
Hmm.
They're not just sitting behind a desk. They're not just plugging in numbers, regardless of the department that you're in. But for the employer to literally see you and appreciate you and say, hey, man, you've done a great job. Thank you so much for picking up the slack. I know you worked over the weekend. That is what matters to them, is that they're bringing value and that we as employers are seeing that.
Yeah, I love that because I think that, if you asked a lot of people that question, I think the natural response might be money, right? We go to work to get money, right? But really, on a deeper level, it really is about being appreciated. And when you are appreciated, again, it ties back into this topic of employee engagement. You're motivated to want to work harder. And I think the one thing that I would just add to that too is this is where I think a lot of businesses fall short. I'm curious if you feel the same, is it's the consistency of that appreciation, which is so key, right? A lot of times we might give a holiday gift and say a generic thank you, right?
Right.
But that's not enough, right? It's really about those small moments, and it's really about doing it consistently where people start to believe it, and it
Absolutely.
drives motivation. Is that right?
Not the habit, not the repetitive, like you said, that the Christmas time, the Thanksgiving time. This is a year-round event, a year-round, and it's not a habit, it's not a routine. It is, you know what, I generally see you. I generally am grateful for what you're doing. I appreciate your hard work. And it is absolutely ongoing. And some people work better, when they get appreciated, and they
Mhm.
work better when the company sees you, your boss sees you. It gives us that initiative to work harder for you. And at the end of the day, if we're producing more, the company makes more.
Yeah. It sounds so simple, but I think the consistency and remembering to do that as a leader, or as an HR leader or a business leader, it's hard. And it takes consistent reminders to remind yourself to do that. A lot of times I think that we are appreciative of the people, but we don't necessarily express it. And so making sure you do that consistently is takes work and effort, but it goes a long way.
It takes time.
Yeah.
And many times we're busy, we're running, we're doing, but it takes time. And if you see how happy it makes a certain person or an employer, or you see the difference in their work, just continue doing it. And they will notice it, and they will
I lo-
talk about it and
Yeah.
change the culture. So that, a little bit of appreciation goes a long way.
I love it. That's great. What other tips do you have that for us today about how to motivate, get the best out of your employees?
Well, other than appreciation, there is, whether you have a budget or if you don't have a budget, some give out gifts and umbrellas and headsets or whatever that may be. But sometimes if you've got, if you park downtown and you're paying for your parking, or hey, you have employee of the month, you're going to get this parking spot right in front. Have the president go park somewhere else. Give
Mhm.
them that, give them that slot. Have them half a day on Friday. You know what? You've done a great job. Go ahead. You can leave it. Even if it's 2 o'clock, if they get out before those 2 hours, are
Yeah.
going to mean so much to them. Work remote every other Friday. You've earned it. Go ahead and you can work from home.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of different ideas that even if you don't have a budget, you can actually do other things for employees. Bring them breakfast once a month. Just the small things again. Decorate their cube when it's their birthday, if that's allowed in your company, because there's a lot of
Mhm.
different rules around that and religion. So we get that. But it is basically at the end of the day, it's things that that's not going to cost you. Things like I said, just whether it's a parking, whether a lot, whether it is a space, or whether it's half a day or an hour in the morning, or one day bring them coffee.
Hmm.
Oh my goodness, when you bring them coffee, one morning they are going to be blown away. And it's that simple stuff. And that smile, you're going to have that great employee happy the entire day. And then they come back the next day, wanting to work for you and doing things for you.
Yeah, I love those ideas because I think that they're just ways to show that appreciation, right? It starts with just saying thank you and doing it consistently. But when you really mean it, you're looking for other ways to show it, show that you mean it. And all of those ways are ways to really show your employees that you care. And when you do that, again, they're much more motivated to want to come to work and do their best and be honest and be a great employee also.
It is. And also now with social media and the reviews, you can get a good review or you can get a bad review.
Hmm.
So, and candidates look at that, whether it's Indeed reviews or LinkedIn or Google review, whatever it is, they will talk about the company. Even if they haven't left yet, they will talk about the company, right?
Hmm.
And when you do things like that, those are things that are going to show up. I mean, I had a welcome, like when new hires come in, just a little welcome board, bulletin had their name on it. And they said, ma'am, can I please interrupt an orientation? Can I Snapchat this, please? Because my name is on that board in the lobby. And she was just super excited. And
That's awesome.
so just things like that. And of course, we want that promotion too, right? We
Yeah.
want that acknowledgement also. So just small things like that. And again, it benefits the employer much more when we do things like that.
I love it. Violet, this has been such a great conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to be with us today and share some of your insights on this topic, some of your experiences. As we wrap up here, if there are listeners out there who want to get connected with you and maybe they have questions about this topic, maybe they just want to connect with you and pick your brain on something else, what's the best way for them to do that?
Through LinkedIn, just
Okay,
the way you connected with me. Absolutely.
perfect. Well, we will drop the link to Violet's LinkedIn profile in the show notes. You can find it there. So come and look and connect with her for sure. So Violet, it's been a pleasure. Thank you again so much for being with us today. Hope you have a great rest of the day.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been an honor.